Welcome to a journey of transformation. Every week, we explore new horizons, pushing boundaries and embracing what's next. This isn't just about technology, it's about evolving ourselves. Think of it as your weekly reset, a chance to upgrade your mindset, your skills, and your potential. We're here to help you rethink how you approach challenges, how you innovate, and ultimately, how you succeed. From powerful insights to practical strategies and game-changing knowledge, we tap into everything you need. It's about staying ahead, not just in a digital world, but in life itself, equipping you for every new beginning. Because in this fast-paced era, standing still is simply not an option. Growth is continuous. You either choose to evolve, to adapt, and to learn, or you risk being left behind. Embrace the change. This isn't just an update. It's a profound rebirth, a chance to redefine your future, to step into your power, and to truly thrive. It's about unlocking your next level. Join us on this exciting path. Embrace your new beginning. Your journey starts now.
Welcome to Tech Tuesday, the Final Boss Podcast. Final Boss Podcast is in the building. I got the Sensei here with me. Woohoo! The Sensei is in the building. Yes, sir, man. We miss you when you're not with us, man. We miss you when you're not with us. I'm so glad to have you here.
I got that work thing gets you, man. That work thing gets you.
I get it, man. I get it. I truly understand, Sensei. Look, tonight we have a great show for you guys, man. Episode number 247, on our way to episode number 250. And then, man, we're out of here, man. We are out of here on our way to episode number 300, which will start the next season of The Harvest, right? So tonight, of course, it's Tech Tuesday. So, man, how you feel?
Oh, I feel amazing. Just got out of the pool.
Oh man, that's what I'm talking about, man. What's the weather out like there? Right?
Oh my God, it's just amazing. It's so beautiful. The pool temperature's perfect. It's 94 degrees and living beautiful.
Rub it in. It's a balmy 63 here.
Oh my.
Right, like the two mix. No, it's been wet and rainy and cold since last week, man. So
I don't even want to say we've been sunshine every single day.
Right, but at least it's not cold.
No.
Yeah. Chakadi's in the building. Molly's in the building. Our Dread's in the building. We got a few other people who are coming in the building. Look, we thank you for each and every last single one of you for getting here early, right? Getting here early, man, because we got a lot of information that we're going to put out to you guys. But before we get into it, I got a few admin notes that I want to make sure I get out, right? The first admin note is make sure you go get Go Time 1, all aboard the Fired Up train. All books are sold. Go pick it up on our website at Dwight-TurboDillard.com. That's the website for the book. That's Dwight-TurboDillard.com. Go pick up the book if you haven't gotten it, right? The second book is coming out in July, Go Time 2. So be on the lookout for it. Then right on, and we're going to keep it moving, right? We for all the episodes, if you haven't, go get all our episodes. Go watch all of the episodes, man. We just hit episode number 247. Go to our website at thefinalbosspodcast.com. Each and every week, all the updates, all the episodes are on there at the finalbosspodcast.com. Also, while I have your attention, make sure that if you want to get your letters in, you want to get questions in, shoot us an email, right? Shoot us an email at info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. If you want to be part of the Final Boss Nation, Final Boss family, Final Boss community, also shoot us an email. But when you do that, let us know, because then I can send you over to Hexadecimal. She's our AI vetting agent, and she will vet you guys for wanting to be a host on the show. So we can set you up for that. So those are the particular admin notes that I have for right now. Sensei, you have anything?
No, it's just dance. Time to dance.
All right. Oh, man, we're going to dance. We're going to dance, man. We are going to dance like a tango dance, right? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger and what's the movie? Dang it. True Lies, right? True Lies, man.
True Lies.
Good memory. That's one of my favorite movies.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, with Jamie Lee Curtis. As always, the greeting of the day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is the greeting of the day. And as always, man, this is for entertainment purposes only. So with that being said, we're going to get ready to get into it. Woo-hoo. Right? So let me get rid of the banners. Banners are out of here. Right? Banners are out of here. Let me see something. We got some new tools, man. I'm going to be playing with them and learning them throughout the week. Oh, this doesn't work. Of course, anytime you want it, you need it. Of course, it's not going to work. We get back to it, right? So, like I was saying earlier, people, this is episode number 247. The Great White Collar Collapse, right? That's tonight's show, right? Now, what if I told you, right, that they told you to study, right? Everybody, education system, everybody's telling you, hey man, make sure you study, right? They told you to get the credentials, right? I just got the credentials. They told me to get it. I went and got it, right? They told you the office was the safe place. Trust me, it's not. I know that as well also, right? The office is being automated. Yeah, yep, it's being automated. Not by a robot uprising. Not now, right? Maybe in the future. But, and not by science or science fiction or some villain, right? By a spreadsheet, by a quarterly earnings call, by a CEO who already decided you cost too much, right? He said you cost too much, right? And this isn't the future, good people. That is what I like to call payroll, right? And welcome back to the Final Boss Podcast, Tech Tuesdays with Sensei. I am the Final Boss, and right across from me, we have the wonderful Sensei. He's the SME. He's the subject matter expert, right? And man, we got a great show for you guys tonight. Make sure you get your pen, paper, notes, cell phone, whatever you have to do. Take some notes tonight, man. We got some great information that we're going to be putting out, and I want you guys to make sure that you're abreast on all the information that we're putting out, right? So, look, we're deep inside this season 4, man. The Rebirth, Arc 4 construction. Like I said, it's episode 247, right? And to the smarts running the numbers at home, your strategy section starts now. To the Final Bosses already cutting steel for the next ladder, your build orders are coming, right? And to the motivators rallying the room, your war cry is loaded, right? And to the warriors standing at the front, your battle map is on the table, right? And look, before we get into tonight's show, I got to give you the brass tacks. I have to give you the brass tacks. And here's the brass tacks of the evening, right? The machine does not need to be better, right? It only needs to be cheaper, scalable, and good enough. Good enough. Good enough is like 60% today, right? It used to be 75, 80% back in the day, but that's a whole nother conversation. They'd have changed the grading schematics. So, and how good enough is how civilizations get sold, right? Sensei already asked you, how are you doing? So let's get right to it.
Doing. Look,
All right.
before we open the first floor of this thing, all right, I want to set the lens for the room. And this is what we do here on the Final Boss Podcast. On this show, we study the machine. We do not argue with the decorations. We focus on systems, incentives, and enforcement. Not on symbolism, not on theater, not service level distractions, not on the drama.
Right.
And what we're looking at tonight is not a normal recession. It's not a sector rotating. I mean, it's not even factory work moving to service work, because that's where the last big shift was. This is the cognitive layer of the entire economy getting industrialized.
Right.
For the first time in human history, the machines are doing portions of the office thinking at scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not consciousness. It's not understanding. This is
Mm-hmm.
cognition.
Yep.
The clerical cognition that runs the modern corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the part of the news cycle that keeps getting buried. The corporation doesn't care if the machine is worse.
Right.
Well, the humans do a better job. They don't care. The
Mm-hmm.
corporation only cares if the machine is cheaper. And that is the entire game.
That is the entire game. Yeah.
love that one.
Love it, right? And tonight, we're going to work in the layers, right? We're going to work in the layers for this entire episode, right? And it's built like an ARC 4 construction blueprint, right? For all those who know what we've been building during this arc. It just started the construction, right? And we're gonna hit with the layoff wave, right? Everybody's talking about the layoffs, the outsourcing parallels, the cost illusions, the junior employee extinction event that's happening. I've had some questions about that were sent to me in my inbox, right? And then we're going to talk about the relevance collapse, right? The cracks and not facade, the facade,
It is
right?
the facade,
Yeah, the facade, right? The colony intelligence shift, right? The middle class compression zone, the psychological shock, the sovereignty counter move, right? The skill stack that bears the machine and owning your own cognitive stack. The new apprenticeship outside the corporation and your construction orders for the next 90 days. This is a tactical episode, right? A builder's episode, the ARC 4 episode that decides whether you spend the next 5 years on the receiving end of the machine or the operator inside of it, right? So let's strap in, let's lock in, let's get to work because work needs to be done, right? So every week now, another company posts the same email. I've been reading them for the last couple of weeks. Tech companies, finance houses, marketing agencies, legal support firms, customer service operation, data teams, and even software engineering, right? And every press release sounds like a copy and paste from the last one, right? AI efficiency, automation strategy, restructuring for innovation, optimizing the workforce, right? The euphemisms are doing more work than the technology, right? But here's the question nobody at the corporate level is willing to answer in plain English. Where exactly do these people go, right? Where do they go? Where are they, right? The traffic is definitely still heavy, right? Because if every company is reducing headcount at the same time, there's no landing zone. There's no other sector hiring at scale to absorb the spillover. The conveyor belt that used to move displaced workers from one industry to another is jammed, right? Sensei, talk to us about that.
And it's the part that makes this story different from every other economic transition in modern history. This one's different. Historically, the pattern has always been simple, and it's always been the same pattern. One sector shrinks, another sector grows. The workers migrate to the new sector. That's how it worked. Look, the factory jobs would disappear because we had automation. What happened? Service jobs grew. Okay.
Mhm.
Retail shrinks. What happens? Tech expands. Travel agents vanish. Software developers rise.
Yeah.
Every wave has moved bodies sideways into the next zone of opportunity from one to the other.
Yep.
But this wave is different.
Mm-hmm.
The disruption is hitting the cognitive layer itself, the layer that was supposed to be the destination,
Right.
but it's now the casualty.
Mm.
And look, we're entering in an era where machines are beginning to industrialize portions of human thought, not the deepest thought, Not real wisdom, not original insight, but enough cognition to remove huge chunks of labor that is demanded from the system. And the
True.
danger people are underestimating is partial replacement. You don't need AI to replace 100% of workers. Not at all. If
Right.
it replaces 25% of the daily tasks, the corporation will eliminate 25% of the staff and absorb the rest of the work into the survivors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this alone is going to destabilize the middle class. This alone collapses career ladders. And this alone breaks the pipeline.
And here's the kicker to the news that they're not telling you. When a corporation eliminates 20% of staff, it does not announce the 20%. It announces 6%, right? Then another 6% next quarter. Then another 6% the quarter after that. That's called layoff by drip, right? And by the time the public realizes the cumulative damage, the headlines have already moved on to the next story, right?
And this is what's called corporate camouflage. Wall Street rewards the trim, not the truth. The stock pumps on every announcement. The CEO gets a bigger bonus, and the board claps their hands. The remaining staff doubles their workload, and they call them resilient. And then comes the next round, and the next round, and the next round.
For the smarts in the room right now, who are keeping score, it's the pattern to watch, right? Not the announcement, the cadence, right? Stack the quarters, stack the percentages, add the lines together, right? That's the real number. The corporate press release is a fragment. The trend line is where the truth is.
And the trend line is steep because we're not in a soft landing for the white collar labor. There's no soft landing. No.
Right.
We're in a controlled descent. Look, the pilots are still pretending the engine is fine. But look out the window. The engine's on fire.
The engine is definitely on fire, just like the fired up train. And tonight, we have the fired up train in the building. And our next destination, we're going to India. We're going to India right now. And we're going to be doing some outsourcing and looking at the parallels, right? So, Sensei, before we dig into the AI cost layer, I want to drag the room back about, let's go into the past about 20 years, right? Because the corporations already ran this experiment once. They ran it on the same workers with the same promises, with the same outcomes. And it's called outsourcing, right? And it's called outsourcing.
And look, it's the same playbook. This has not changed. It's the same playbook from 20 years ago. It's the same talking points. Again, the same end result. 20 years ago, the pitch was simple. The costs go down, efficiency goes up. Customers are not going to notice. They're unlocking shareholder value. We got it, right? This is what sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
The companies move their support centers overseas. They move the development teams overseas. And they move back office corporations and operations overseas. They move billing, claims, processing, technical support, all of it. Here's the problem. The customers noticed instantly. Why? Because the quality dropped, the hold times went up, the resolution rates went down, and here's the other part. This is the big cost. Institutional knowledge evaporated because the people who actually knew the product were gone.
Right.
And therefore, communication friction increases on every single call. The corporations made the math work on the spreadsheet, but they lost it on the customer trust ledger. And the customers stopped trusting corporations.
And look, I've lived through that as a customer. I've lived through that as a federal IT branch chief. Every offshore migration I ever watched had the same arc. Big savings on day one, quiet rebuild starting in year two, bringing key roles back on shore by year five, then quietly pretending the experiment never happened.
And this is the part that's hilarious.
Right.
Uh, these corporations, they refuse to learn these lessons, okay?
Mm.
You can lower the labor cost.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you can do that. But you cannot lower the cost of trust. Trust is built in human moments. Trust is built when somebody is on the other end of the line who understands your product, your tone, your
Mm-hmm.
problem, and your context, okay?
Absolutely.
Trust is built when the experience matches the brand promise. You strip those moments out of the loop, and the brand starts dying.
Mm-hmm.
And it does it slowly, quietly, at first, invisibly, but then suddenly, poof, all at once, the brand is dead.
Now, if you take that, let's take that, what the sensei just said, right? Now, stack that lesson against what's happening today, right? Because the corporation is running the same experiment all over again. Same promises, same euphemisms, right? Same Wall Street applause. But this time, the labor is not being moved to a country. This time, the labor is being moved to a model, right?
And here's the part: the scale is bigger by an order of magnitude. This is like not just a little bit. This is huge. The first wave hit tech support and basic clerical work. This wave hits your analysts, your junior developers, your office
Mm-hmm.
staff, your
Yeah.
legal assistants, paralegals, researchers,
Right.
marketers,
Mm-hmm.
copywriters, your mid-level designers, okay? Your translators,
Mm-hmm.
underwriters, recruiters, compliance reviewers, schedulers, account managers, and eventually portions of middle management itself. That wasn't just one tiny little sector.
No.
That's a big swath of
Right.
people.
Yep.
And the corporations betting the consumer will tolerate degraded experience if prices stay low. And then look, that's not a crazy bet because it already worked once.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The public's already starting to feel the cracks. People can sense when something is synthetic, fake, something's off in the language, something hollow in the response, and something's missing in the loop. Because people are getting wise to this mess.
Absolutely. And for my final bosses listening, I need you to write this on your wall. Write this on your sticky notes. Put it on your mirror. Commit it to memory, right? The corporation will sell quality for savings every single time, right? And that's not a flaw. That is the incentive. If your career strategy depends on the corporation valuing quality, you are betting against the entire history of the corporation, right? Now, we're going to talk about something that nobody's talking about, right? Nobody in the news is talking about this, and nobody wants to admit it, right? Because the public narrative is that AI is basically free. The model exists. You point it at a task, labor cost goes to zero, right? That's the headline. But let me tell you, that is also a lie.
Look, this is one of the biggest economic misconceptions of the decade. Do you remember how they talked about everything wants to go in the cloud?
Yeah.
But nobody understands the cloud is just somebody else's computer. That's all it is.
Right. Yep.
Instead of you hosting your own and owning it yourself, you just give it to somebody else. Let them do it.
Right.
Because AI is not free labor. It's rented cognition. And rented cognition comes with a ledger of hidden costs. That most executives are only starting to understand. And when they start to understand it, it's a little too late. And let me walk the smarts through the actual stack, okay? You have the inference cost. Every time the model thinks, the meter runs. You have graphics processing units called GPUs, infrastructure.
Yep.
Either you own it or you rent it. But either way, you're paying for it. You have orchestration systems that rotate work between models.
Yeah.
Okay. You have storage for the data these models touch. That's a cost. You have memory layers if you want any continuity across sessions. In other words, if you don't want to start from scratch every time, you have to pay for memory layers. You have networking. Listen to this one. You have energy consumption that is now showing up on utility bills for the entire countries. And you have supervision teams to keep the models in line. And here's what happens, okay? This is the part that is another one. You have retry loops. When the model fails the first or second pass, you got to loop it, try again, try again, try again. There's your efficiency out the window. And you have what's called hallucination cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
Now we also have compliance reviews and legal exposure if the model gets something wrong in a regulated environment. And here's the word that these executives don't even want to think about or talk about. And this is called token burn.
Right.
And people hear the word tokens and they assume it's a tiny pennies, fractions of a cent. Oh, no. No. That math works at the demo. It's not working in the enterprise, okay?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Not for the enterprise. No.
Right. That's it. Now, for those who don't know, Sensei, can you break that down for the room?
Sure. Look, you run a large context window, okay? If you run a multi-agent system where 5 models pass work to each other, they run persistent memory so the system remembers prior interactions. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they got to start over every time.
Yep.
You run an autonomous tool chain that calls external APIs to complete a task. Now, you run all that across the workforce of 10,000 simulated employees. Your token burn just exploded. 6 figures a month, 7 figures a month at real enterprise scale.
Easily.
And listen to this. Some Fortune 500 deployments, they're already quietly there. They already have done it. And this is the crazy part. Some corporations are going to wake up 18 months from now and realize replacing a competent $40,000 a year employee with 5 orchestration layers and a vector database, a supervision team, compliance team, and legal contingency fund is not actually cheaper. Especially, and here's where it comes down, when the quality collapses on the customer side and the customer leaves.
Yep.
Because customers will leave.
They will. And that's the part the public ain't hearing. They're not hearing that part, right? Because the financial press is still in hype mode, right? The savings narrative is the story that gets printed. The cleanup cost is the story that gets buried.
And this is how every technology bubble works. Every single one. Yep. Wall Street rewards the promise first. The market sprints towards the most optimistic narrative. Capital floods in, and then reality comes later with a hangover. And for the warriors watching the macro, this is the read.
Mm-hmm.
You're not living through a stable cost revolution. You're living through an arbitrage window. Corporations are exploiting the gap between AI promises today and what AI actually delivers tomorrow.
Right.
Now, that window will close. The bill will arrive. And when the bill arrives, some of those laid off workers will get called back.
Absolutely.
Listen to this. Here's the sad part. Under different titles, at lower pay.
Right.
So this is not a forecast. I'm not Nostradamus. This is corporate behavior across every prior technology cycle.
Mm-hmm.
The machine writes the headline, the human cleans up the mess, the corporation pockets the difference. For 1 quarter, then the cycle resets again and again and again. And it has not changed. And we're not predicting anything because look back and you see everything we're talking about has been repeated multiple times.
Multiple times. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, the next thing that we're going to talk about is one of those things that keeps me, honestly, it keeps me up at night, right? Because I think about those things. and they're, I'm thinking about the junior positions. I'm thinking about the internships. I'm thinking about the entry level roles, right? I'm thinking about the apprentice tracks that are out there that are disappearing, right? Those are some of the first things the machine is wiping out.
And when that happens, that creates a civilization level problem that nobody is sizing correctly. Look, everybody focuses on the current displaced worker. The 40-year-old analyst with a mortgage and 2 kids just got the termination email. That's the visual casualty. That's the one you can see. But nobody looks at the invisible casualty. The 22-year-old who never gets the first job at all. And that's pipeline destruction.
Right. Yep.
It's crazy. Now, answer me this. How does a human being become a senior engineer? Do you just walk in, you're a senior engineer? Do you get it from a textbook? No. Do you get it from your certification? No. What do you get it from is from the boring, repetitive work that fills the first 3 years of a junior engineering career. From sitting next to a senior who corrects your mistakes in real time.
Correct.
From watching the code reviews. From shipping small features. From breaking small things and fixing them. Then from being trusted. Once you do that, you get trusted with the bigger things only after you've proven yourself on the small things.
Right.
How does a human being become a great attorney? From the boring discovery work in the first year, from summarizing depositions, from watching a partner argue emotion, from handling the small files that nobody else wants, from being in the room when a senior partner closes a deal.
Right.
How does a human become a great consultant, a great architect, a great analyst, or a great researcher, or a great writer? Does it just happen?
No.
This is not the Matrix.
Right.
You do it through repetition, through mistakes. Here's the key. Here's the key. Through mentorship. Through exposure.
Yep.
You eliminate that junior layer, you just eliminate the factory that produces the senior layer.
And you know, that's the trap. That is the trap, right? Because you cannot strip out the apprenticeship floor of the building and expect the upper floors to keep standing, right? Follow me, people. We're doing construction, right? You can do it for a year, maybe 2. The existing seniors carry the load. The senior tier was trained the old way. So they still have the skills. Then those seniors, they retire. That legacy knowledge, it's gone, right? Then those seniors get poached. Then those seniors are no longer with us, right? And then there's nobody underneath them to carry the load, right?
Look, the machine may be accidentally destroying the ladder that produced the talent the machine still depends on. Because the model's not actually doing the work alone.
Right.
The model's being supervised by senior humans. Senior humans who were trained when junior roles still existed. Take out that bottom rung of the ladder. The ladder's going to collapse on a delay. 5 years, 10 years, it's going to collapse. Because look, your seniors are how old? And how many years have they got left in the workforce? And you said it. They're going to get poached.
Yeah.
Someone's going to offer them money because they lost their seniors and they need some more.
Yeah.
Or they're just going to die. So you are correct. That's what's happening.
Yeah. And you know, society spent 40 years telling people the same script, right? You've heard the script. Find the bosses, smarts, motivators, warriors. You've all heard the script. Go to school, get the credentials, learn the office skills, become a knowledge worker, right? Climb the corporate ladder, build your career, take care of your family, right? And now the machine is targeting those exact positions. And there's no replacement script being handed to the next generation, right?
No, because that protected class It's not protected.
Mhm.
Now, here's psychologically, neither the schools nor the parents, the labor market nor the policy class is prepared for that reality. And this is a hard reality that no one is prepared for.
Right.
We're watching the credentialed middle class get told quietly that the contract they were sold is no longer being honored.
And to my motivators that are in the room, this is the speech you give to your 18-year-old, and you give it tonight, right? Because the corporation is not building a career for them anymore, right? The corporation is renting your output until the model that they have can do it cheaper, right? That's the new arrangement. We need to stop training to be hired and start training to be irreplaceable, right? We talk about that all the time. Start training to be your own pipeline, right? Build the parallel pipeline, right? Start training to build the ladder and not just climb it, right? Arc 4 is the construction. These are the metaphors, right? It starts at home and it starts tonight, right? At the kitchen table, with your kids, with your loved ones, with your family members who are going into the workforce. It starts tonight. High school graduates, college graduates, those who have their GED, starts tonight, right? So, Sensei, you've talked about, you talked before about something called the relevance economy, right? And I think this is something that we should be talking about right now, because I think that idea lands right here.
So, and this is the segment where the philosophy gets really sharp. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For the entire industrial era, the question the labor market asked you was very simple. Are you qualified? And you said, yes, I am qualified, because you answered with a degree, a certificate, a license, a resume, a reference, a title. You showed your credential, and the system slotted you in.
Yeah.
The future does not ask that question. The future asks a colder one. Here it is. Are you still economically worth the cognitive cost? And that is a fundamentally different civilization.
Slow that down for the room. Before you do that, that was a bomb.
Look, the old question was simple. It measured the human against other humans. That's easy. That's why your certificates, your licenses, your degrees, all those things that you had measured against another human. Are you more qualified than the next applicant? Are you cheaper than the next contractor? Are you more experienced than the next candidate? Okay? That was the question.
Yeah.
Not the question anymore. The new question measures the human against the model. Are you cheaper than the API call? Are you faster than the agent swarm? Are you more reliable than the orchestration layer? Are you producing enough value to justify renting your cognition over renting the machines?
Mm.
And here's where it does get uncomfortable, because the machine doesn't care whether the machine is better.
Right.
The system doesn't care. The system only cares whether the machine is cheaper, scalable, and the key words are good enough. And these three words decide your relevance: cheaper, scalable, good enough.
Now, Sensei, I need you to read that for us one more time.
Mm-hmm. Is it cheaper? Scalable? And the worst one, is it good enough? That is the entire civilization shift hiding in two words. Because the previous era was selling excellence, or at least trying to, or pretending to, or selling you the lie of it. The best products, the best service, the best minds, the best experience. That's what you were being sold. That's what we were. Okay? But the new era is, adequate. Is it good enough? Synthetic adequacy. Industrially produced adequacy. Adequacy at scale. Look, the product doesn't even have to be great anymore. It has to be good enough that the customer just can't quite cancel. The service doesn't have to be excellent, not at all. It just has to be good enough so that the customer can't quite leave. The employee doesn't have to be world class. They have to be good enough that the corporation can replace them with a model that's also good enough.
And that, my friends, is the age of synthetic adequacy, right? Not excellence, not mastery, not craft, but adequacy, right?
Well, and here's the danger. This is a serious danger. The danger of synthetic adequacy is that it erodes the human aspiration to be excellent. Because if the market stops rewarding excellence, the workforce is going to stop training for it. Why grind 10,000 hours of mastery if the corporation only needs adequate? Why build deep skill if the machine produces shallow skill at a tenth the cost?
Wow.
Look, the race to the bottom, it's not just on price, it's on standard.
It definitely is. And for my final bosses, this is the war zone you are walking into, right? Because adequacy is the floor. Adequacy is the new norm. Adequacy is what the machine produces by default, right? Your only edge is to operate above the adequacy line, right? To be the human the customer remembers, right? To be the operator the corporation cannot replicate. And to be the brand the market trusts, right? If you are competing on adequacy, you are competing with the machine. If you are competing on excellence, you are competing with the half of humanity that gave up, right? You need to pick your competition, right?
And in this new economy, the relevance economy, it's going to reward the human who refuses to be average. The age of synthetic adequacy is also the golden age of human excellence.
Yeah.
Here's why. It's because excellence is going to become rarer, harder to find. Excellence becomes more valuable when it's a resource that no one has. Excellence becomes the only thing the machine cannot mass produce.
Wow.
That is the door Arc4 Construction is asking you to walk through.
Absolutely.
Can you be excellent?
Excellent, right? I know you guys are starting to feel it now, right? I know you're starting to feel it now. You see where we're going? Because you see it everywhere, right? If you're paying attention, you see it. The customer service loops that never end. The chatbots that could confidentially tell you the wrong answer all the time, right? Auto-generated articles that read like nothing. Personalized emails that are not personal. Auto replies that miss the point of the question. Product photos that are clearly synthetic, right? And then there are reviews that were obviously written by a machine. And the search results polluted with fake authority, right? I don't know. Sounds like dead internet vibes to me.
Well, currently, humans can still sense authenticity. And that's a hidden firewall, okay?
Right.
Fragile as it is, okay, it's still there. And there's a difference between intelligence and approximation. The current models are powerful, but they're also brittle in a way that the press will never talk about.
Right.
They struggle with deep context. They struggle with consistency across long sessions, and that's a thing, okay? They struggle with accountability when something breaks.
Right.
And then they struggle with long-term reasoning that depends on memory the corporation forgot to give them. They struggle with edge cases that the training data never captured. They struggle with real-world ambiguity when the right answer is messy. Yet corporations are still doing what? They're deploying these things aggressively, exactly into those domains.
Yep.
And that mismatch is the source of the cracks in the foundation.
Now, Sensei, walk us through the user experience.
All right, so I'll give you an example. You call the support line, okay? The agent voice sounds perfectly confident, but the agent voice is wrong. You correct it. And then it's confident and then wrong in a new direction. You escalate. The escalation routes to another agent. The new agent has no memory of the prior conversation. You have to start over.
All over.
Oh my God. That experience is not an accident. That experience, what happens when a corporation deploys AI faster than the AI is actually ready for the use case, because the savings show up in this quarter and the customer churn shows up in the next quarter. And the corporation, they're willing to take that trade. They're willing to make that trade right now, every single day, in every single industry that touches consumers, because the consumers are replaceable in their eyes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the operational truth nobody is putting or talking about is the earnings call, right? The earnings call. And a lot of these companies still need humans to babysit the model. And they're not actually saving as much labor as the press release claims. They are quietly hiring a smaller, lower paid layer of human supervisors to clean up the model's mess. But the human layer, it's too thin. So things are going to break.
Look, and when things break in the AI era, they break in patterns the customer notices immediately. Look, it's called hallucination. We've talked about that. Hallucinated information, the forgotten context, the wrong answer delivered with total confidence.
Yeah.
The loop the customer cannot escape, right? And you're just like, you lose your mind because you're stuck in this loop. For some customer experiences, satisfaction is now worse than it was a decade ago. And we thought it was bad then. But that's measurable. Net promoter scores are dropping in industries that just deployed AI heavy customer service stacks.
Why is that?
Well, optimization sometimes destroys the very thing customers valued in the first place. They value human intuition. They value human empathy, human judgment, human flexibility, hell, human accountability, and human escalation paths. I want a human to escalate this to another human. And the machine struggles with all these. It struggles with the moment the customer says, I know this is not your policy, but here's my situation. Look, the human knew what to do in that moment. The human would bend the rule, and the human earned the loyalty. The human reads the rule, it quotes the rule, and it ends the call.
Yep. And for my warriors paying attention, this is your opening, right? Because every time the machine fails the customer, a human operator with empathy and judgment is more valuable, not less, right? The crack is in the facade, that the door that's opening for you to walk through, right? The age of synthetic adequacy is creating an entire underserved market of customers who would pay extra to talk to a real person who can actually solve their problem. That market is shrinking. It's not shrinking, I'm sorry, right? The market is actually exploding. Where's my bomb? I want to hear some explosions. Right? Now, let's pivot for a second. And let's talk about what the public still thinks about AI and AI being wrong, right? Because people imagine. And AGI is one giant robot that has a brain, of course, right? And it's waking up in a server room. It's one model, one consciousness, one villain, right? But that's not what is coming.
No, that's not coming. And we've talked about this. We've got a podcast specifically addressing this situation. Where we are is not at AGI yet, or not ASI yet, but distributed intelligence. The actual shift is called colony intelligence. It's not one AI, it's ecosystems, agent swarms. Here it comes, machine to machine communication, Molt book.
Right.
Okay? Yep. Persistent memory, marketplace where models hire other models to do parts of the tasks. thousands of specialized systems coordinating, millions of specialized systems coordinating, potential billions over the next decade.
Mm-hmm. And that is a very different mental model.
And the reason it is because it changes everything you know about how you think about the labor replacement. Every single AI does not replace the worker.
Mm-hmm.
A single one doesn't do it. Not one. No. It's that ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's the swarm. One model will handle the intake. One handles classification. One handles retrieval. One handles drafting. One handles fact checking. One handles formatting. One handles delivery. One handles follow-up. One handles compliance review. And one handles archives. It's not a single agent in that chain that looks impressive on its own.
Right.
The chain itself looks devastating because it's colony behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we have to be very close attention. The intelligence does not live in any one node. The intelligence lives in the coordination between the nodes.
Man, let's give the smarts the technical anchor. They deserve it.
So if you combine autonomous agents, orchestration systems, API chains, and vector databases for memory persistence, and machine marketplace when one model can pay another model for a service, you're going to get an emergent capability. It's not because any one model got smarter, because the network learned how to compose them. This is where the black box problem becomes serious. We've talked about the black box paradox, right?
Right.
We've built the box, but we don't know how it works. In a single model era, you can audit the model. You can look at it and say, why did you make that decision?
Mm-hmm.
You can trace the weights. And here's the problem. In this colony era, the swarm, the decision does not live inside any one model. The decision lives in the interaction. You can audit every single agent in the chain and not understand why the final output came out the way it did. This is why regulators are about to crash into. This is what corporate legal teams are about to crash into. And this is what the public is about to crash into.
And from a worker replacement standpoint, this is the part that scales the fastest because you don't need every agent to be world class, right? You just need the chain to be good enough. This episode should have been called Good Enough.
It should have been called Good Enough. Yep.
Yeah.
Look, synthetic adequacy compounds across the chain. Each agent is 70%. 70% good. Stack 7 agents in series, and the corporation still gets the output the customer accepts. The cost per task is still a fraction of the human salary. The corporation is going to book the savings. The customer is going to eat the degraded experience. Look, multiply that across every business process in the modern enterprise, and that is a colony economy.
Wow. And to my motivators, listen. Carry the message into the community. That's the line, right? You're not being replaced by a robot. You're being replaced by a workflow. The workflow has no face. The workflow has no headquarters. The workflow has no Twitter handle to yell at, right? The workflow is a pipe. The pipe runs through 10 companies, 3 cloud providers, 4 model vendors, and a payment rail, right? You cannot fight the pipe by yelling at it. You can only build a parallel pipe. You can own the pipe, right? You can own it with your own face, with your own brand, and with your own customers. That's the construction work, right? Now, so where does all this land, Sensei? Because if white collar work compresses, the middle class compresses with it. You spoke about that earlier. And that is not a tech story anymore. That is a country story.
And I think that's the correct frame to put this in, because it's not a tech story. We're not talking tech. We're talking a structural change of the entire country. And here's why. The white collar work was the engine of the American middle class for 70 years.
Right.
The office job built the suburbs. The office job financed the mortgage. The office job paid the college tuition.
Right.
and the office job funded the retirement account. Now, if you break the office job at scale, which is what's happening right now, you break all 4 of these, you start seeing a stack of effects that ripple across the entire civilian economy. Reduced upward mobility. The promotion pipeline narrows. Here's a hard one. The mid-career escalator stops moving. And once all that happens, credential collapse. The degree no longer guarantees a slot. Boom. The certificate no longer prices the labor. None of that matters. So are people going to go after those things? They're going to stop, aren't they? Because the degree doesn't matter anymore. And right now, I will tell you, companies are hiring people and don't care about the degree. They'd rather hire a person without a degree they can train than hire someone with a degree. That's already happening. Credential collapse is already happening. You're shrinking career ladders. The rungs are going to disappear. The senior tier is going to survive. The junior tier is going to die. And the middle becomes a choke point.
Right.
So when you have all that happening, you have unstable employment, permanent roles converted into contract roles. So no longer do you have the guarantee of having a job that you can get to retirement. You're in a contract. They can drop you any minute. And contract roles are going to convert to gig roles. So here we are.
Yeah.
Permanent roles converted to contract. Contract roles convert to gig. Gig roles convert to nothing. You're going to have this tendency expansion. People who used to pay their own way are beginning to need support from family, from government, from community. We also have a thing happening, and this is a big deal. This is called subscription-based living. Ownership is going to become harder and harder and harder. Renting is going to be the default.
Yep.
Cars subscribed. Software subscribed. Even appliances subscribed. The middle class becomes a tenant class. The middle class is going to become a tenant class. You're going to have relevance scoring systems. Eventually, the corporation just scores you. Are you producing enough to output to justify to the network? Yes or no? And that's a little freaky, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, look, it's already happening.
And look, the last one feels dystopian.
Absolutely. And look, it's already happening. Look, if you want to go take a look over in China. They got people who, for their social credit score, can't even live in a house that they have. They got to sleep on the streets because they are not allowed. They haven't contributed enough for them to even live in their own house. Look, it's happening in soft form. Credit scores, big deal, right? You live and die by your credit score. The only way to get a good credit score is be in debt. If you're not in debt, you don't have a good credit score. Insurance scores, risk models, and here we go. Here it comes. Hiring algorithms, background check systems. And this is the part that so many people, especially young folks, don't understand. Social media reputation scoring. Algorithmic credit limits. Okay? The infrastructure is already there. It already can do this on its own. The only thing that's not happened yet is a consolidation of those scores into one number. Now, given this trajectory of where all this stuff is going, how fast it's moving, that consolidation is coming.
Absolutely. Look, walk the room through the human consequences for us.
Okay. A society built around office work suddenly finds the office disappearing. Now, that's a cascading effect. That changes everything that was financed by the office. Housing markets are going to cool because the median buyer can't qualify. Family formation drops because the financial base is shaky. People don't want to have kids because you can't afford them. Consumer spending falls because discretionary income evaporates. This is already happening. Mental health collapses because purpose disappears with the paycheck. Don't have a paycheck, you have no purpose. Identity fracture because for most people, the job was the identity. Social stability strains because angry people without futures vote differently. Because for millions of people, the job is not just the income. The job is purpose. The job is status. The job is structure. The job is meaning. The job is the answer to the question, what did you do today? Take that away from large populations simultaneously
Who?
and watch how severe those societal consequences become.
And for my final bosses in the room, this is strategic. It's a strategic read, right? You're not in the building. You are not building a personal brand in a stable economy. You are building a personal brand in a society that is about to renegotiate its entire understanding of work, status, and worth. That renegotiation is the window. That renegotiation is the opening. That renegotiation is where the next great fortunes get built, right? Not by the people who got laid off, but by the people who saw the layoffs coming and built the parallel infrastructure, right? That, my friends, is the construction alignment, right? So, oh
Look,
man,
one of the most undiscussed strategic moves right now available to the average worker right now. The corporation, they're renting cognition from the model vendor, okay? That makes the corporation dependent on the model's vendor pricing policies in terms of service, okay? You can do the opposite. You can build a personal cognitive stack you control that you own, nobody can take away. And let me walk it, okay? Layer one is going to be your personal graph, your knowledge. You own your notes, your public library, your own writing, your own research, organized in a system you control, not on a corporate tool, not in a free app that might be shut down, not in a system where you own, but in a system where you own the files. You own your stuff. Layer two is your personal AI tools, local models when feasible, self-hosted where possible. Even when you use a third-party model, you keep your prompts and your outputs and your training data on your machine. You build prompt libraries of your own. You build workflows on your own. The layer three is your personal data sovereignty. You stop feeding your private corpus into other people's systems unless you absolutely have to. Stop training other people's models on your data. Okay? With your IP, intellectual
right?
property. Okay? Stop doing it for free.
Yeah.
You keep the asymmetry on your side. Layer four, your personal pipelines. The way you research, draft, edit, publish, and distribute belongs to you. The corporation does not own your method. The corporation does not own your style. The corporation does not own your voice. And layer five, personal corpus. Over time, you build a body of work that is uniquely yours. Your books, your notes, your frameworks, your episodes, your posts. That corpus becomes the seed of every future thing you build. The corporation cannot replicate that. The model can be trained on a generic version, but it cannot be trained on you.
Correct. Correct. Thank you, Sensei. And by the way, the next construction work is something we have to spend a few minutes on, right? Because if rented cognition is what the corporation is using to replace you, the counter is to stop renting your own cognition from the same vendors, right? You build your own cognitive stack, right? And Sensei, can you speak on that for us, please, sir?
No, we talk about it. You have to build your own stuff. You know, you have to be you. In a sea of all this mess, you have to be unique. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Take a different path. You got to take
Right.
you got to take a different path. The corporation is just going to suck
Wait,
you
hold
up
on.
and spit you out.
I'm getting a
Can you
lot
hear
of
me now?
static. Give me a second. Hold on. Give me a second. Ladies and gentlemen, we're right back. We right back. You know, we have those issues from time to time. It's Tech Tuesday. That's what happens, right?
Hey, it ain't Tech Tuesday sometimes, but you got technical issues happening on Tech Tuesday.
That's it.
But you got technical people who can deal with technical issues on Tech Tuesday.
That's what we do. This is job security.
That's right. That's right.
So, look, we're getting close to the close, people. Thank you for joining us, man. Look, this entire episode, we broke down the autopsy for you to start to rebuild, right? And final questions for the sensei I have, right, is where does this actually go from here? Where do we go from here?
So right now, we're in our transition period where humanity has to decide one question. Okay? One question.
Mm-hmm.
Is AI a tool that augments civilization? Or is AI a mechanism that quietly removes humans from relevance? Look, the machine is optimizing faster than society is emotionally processing. We are behind the times. We are not ready. And that gap is a danger zone we're walking into right now. And the biggest misconception is the headline misconception. People think the danger is AGI waking up tomorrow. You and I have talked about this. It is not.
Right.
The more immediate danger is millions of humans waking up and realizing the economic ladder has been quietly disappeared while everybody was distracted by the AI hype videos. Mm-hmm. That's the warning. The machine doesn't need consciousness or conscious intent to destabilize society. The machine only needs incentives. And the incentives are already moving at a light speed.
Right. And here are the construction orders for the community, right? I need you guys to get your pen and paper. And I know these, look, take these notes real quick. We're already closed. Give us 2 minutes, right? I need you to memorize these. I need you to print them out, right? And I need you to stick them on the wall, stick them in your mirror. Because, and let's start with the smarts, right? I need you to build the analysis stack. Track the layoff cadence by sector. Track the AI cost curve at enterprise scale. Map which industries are crossing the synthetic adequacy line. Bring the data back to the table next Tuesday, right? And for my final bosses, I need you to build the parallel infrastructure, the domain, the email list, the owned audience, the first product, the first customer, the first revenue line outside the day job. Ship something this week, put your name on it, right? And for my motivators, I need you to carry the message. The people you love are absorbing a structural shock. Give them the language, give them the frame, give them the path, walk them across the middle of the rebirth without losing them, right? And for my warriors, hold the line. That's what you guys do. You hold the line. The information environment is getting noisy. The hype voices and the doom voices both want a piece of your attention. Stay locked on what is actually useful. Defend the community from both of those extremes, right? 4 pillars, 4 assignments, 1 mission. Sensei, the floor is yours.
And the brass tacks or prize to take with you out the door is this. And do not forget this. The machine does not need to be better. It only needs to be cheaper, scalable, and good enough. And good enough is how civilization gets sold down the road. Do not let your personal relevance to be priced as good enough. Do not let your future be sold as good enough. Do not let your children inherit a world that's settled for good enough. Because good enough is not good enough. Look, you're building the alternative. That's the assignment.
That is the assignment. And for my final bosses community, listen, all the references and resources we're going to drop, right? Look, the layoff data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, check those monthly reports, right? There's real-time tech layoff tracking from layoff.fyi. The Stanford AI Index report on capability and cost. Goldman Sachs has a research notes on generative AI labor displacement, right? And the list goes on and on. All of it linked to the fighterBossPodcast.com. Go Time, the bestseller book that's available now. Go check it out, right? Follow us, like, share, and subscribe. Look, this has been Tech Tuesdays with the Sensei, Season 4, Rebirth, Arc 4, The Construction, episode number 247. That is a wrap. And if this episode got your mind moving, please share it, right? Like, share, subscribe. Go tag a smart, tag a final boss, tag a motivator, tag a warrior. Pull somebody into the conversation who needs the frame, because this is not science fiction anymore. It's science now. This is economics. This is infrastructure. This is payroll. This is the next decade of your working life. Build the lifeboat, build the ladder, build the corpus, build the audience, build the brand, build, right? BBB, right? That is just construction, and that's what construction means. And we will catch you next time. I need you guys to stay sovereign. Sensei, you have any words before we close?
Be true to yourself. Don't sell out.
Be true to yourself and don't sell out. And as always, if I don't see you tomorrow, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is our show, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but there is an even heavier pain that comes with regret. I am here. We are here. Stay balanced, stay equal, and stay smart. That's our show for tonight, man. Y'all have a great one. Hope to see you soon.
Welcome to Tech Tuesday on the Final Boss podcast, where innovation meets attitude, and the future gets decoded one bite at a time. I'm your host, Turbo the CEO, and your co-host, Mike Foth. And today we're diving deep into the tech trenches to uncover the tools, trends, and truths shaping tomorrow. Whether you're a code slinger, gadget geek, or just tech curious, this is your weekly power-up. So grab your controller, plug in, and let's level up.